Lembato pau vermelho, lembato vermelho bahar. Thanks and praise, dissidents. Welcome back to the Slick Distant Shared Artistic Expression. We are shifting gears and reconfiguring the Great Whiteboard Brotherhood on the wall. And I am going to share in the show notes some links to some old shows that I did with my buddy Chance over on the Interverse quite a long time back, where we anchored in the Tarot-tories into the state artifacts, the mascots, the logos, the flags, the Latin phrases on all the heraldry around the United States. The Tarot-tories map is legit, y'all. And I don't really care to waste my time. Uh, Maybe that's not the best way to put it. I don't care to reinvest my time uh, pleading the case for the Tarot-tories map. As I work the system, you will come to realize its validity. Um, yeah, the longer you sit with it, the more obviated it is. So, also, I've got the planetary placements over here. And instead of trying to convince people of the validity of the Tarot-tories map, what I'm going to do is explain how, when you look at a zodiac on the internet, it is often in one orientation, especially if you're doing astrological chart readings. Um, and then when you look at planetary placements, you'll see that the zodiac is oriented in another aspect. And when you look at slick distance zodiac, you'll see that it flips and flops and rotates and rolls. And I just want to acknowledge that. And maybe, here's a interesting geometric lesson for everybody. I've recommended that you take a piece of paper and hold it over your head and orient it to the north, south, and east and west in the room, or maybe just the four corners of the room. And then write on the piece of paper what is north, south, east, and west, oriented as the stars above your head. And then take your piece of paper and hold it down underneath yourself and notice what happens to the directions. There's a perfect inversion that happens from what you're looking up at the top and what you're looking down to the bottom, and you realize that the human point of perception is the prism where the messages crisscross. And so the north, south, east, and west get inverted when you put the piece of paper down. Well, in order to make it perfect again, you have to put the piece of paper face down on the table. Right? So the human level of perception is the crisscross of what is perceived above. When you look down below, the compass is spun, inverted. And that's a fun thought experiment, a lesson in geometry, and reevaluating why it's important to read in both directions, to perceive things bostraphodon, and to know how the sky rolls through these cycles over and over again. So I just wanted to make that analogy of the directions when you're looking up. They invert as soon as you try to reapply them to that space below you. And that's a good lesson that kind of allows people to be bostraphodon in their thinking. And so that is why the zodiac on the website is inverted from the zodiac that Slick uses. My zodiac is, some would say, has a Santos Bonacci orientation to it, and that is because our language has a Santos Bonacci orientation to it. So, also, I've incorporated something new. I think this is my new favorite modality. This really might be my new favorite modality for conveying my vision from slick distant to the universe. All right, I've got planetary markations. And so now I've done the Tarot-tories map with the planets in their zodiacal relationships. and some truly fascinating things are on the horizon over the next couple weeks. So, of course, we have the inauguration is about to take place. But I just want to make some notes as to where things are right now, and then I'm going to come back and do some disseminating on upcoming developments. So, first of all, let's start with the sun just left out of Mercury. Excuse me, the sun just left out of Capricorn. Capricorn is the Mississippi River and New Orleans. And a great amount of trauma triggers were sparking off down here in New Orleans over the past month, and not a lot of people will notice. And the sun is progressing out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. We're moving into star card, tower card territory over the next couple weeks. Mercury has been in Capricorn for quite a while now. I find that very fascinating as some of the trauma events of the recent weeks took place in this southwest orientation down some crazy events in New Orleans, and then some also crazy events moving into Aquarius. Essentially, the Las Vegas is the Aquarius Tower. And almost moving into Pisces, Las Vegas. So yeah, the guy taking his route from Colorado down south, almost into Texas, and then drove over to Vegas, which really is very Piscean. I really have to say it's very Piscean. But the exploding aspect is just really obvious to me because the tower card is down here. Tower card is actually more Arkansas, also Texas. We have the Texas white tower, white power assassin on the water tower in Texas. Star card, Arkansas, the trade bombing in Arkansas, tower card. All right. So yeah, a lot of wild triggers have been kind of flushing through the Southwest. Um, yeah, Southwest, SW. So, below, as above. All right. As well, Neptune coming right across the dividing line from Pisces into Aries. This is exactly on the location where, yeah, it's pretty exact. 34th degree parallel is LA. 37 is this dividing line. This is the Mason-Dixon line. This is my pet number latitude. It's the 37-degree parallel. And I'm always keeping an ear of the differential between the 37 and the 40 because I'm quite hip to Mike Wan's weaves on the 40th parallel. And big love to my brother Donut out there who's got a big buzz for the 36-degree parallel. He's got a big thing for the 36-degree parallel. And that's great because that is also the Mason-Dixon line. Mason-Dixon line, depending on where you research and what side of the fence you ask, it wavers as it goes across the different states. So, yeah, Neptune is right here on the location where the fires took place. And it's a slow mover, a real slow mover. It's going out of its own element. Neptune is a water element. It's in Pisces now. And it's going into fire. It's progressing into fire slowly over time, very slowly. I'm going to just convey now that there are some retrogrades happening up here. It turns out Uranus has been in retrograde ever since James Earl Jones passed away. Darth Vader and Uranus going retrograde on his death day, 9-9. 9 times 9 is 81. 81 is thallium, the poisoner's poison. The day he died was so magical. Darth Vader goes into the underworld as Uranus goes retrograde. Jupiter has been in retrograde. Mars has been in retrograde. These three planets are all about to come out of retrograde at the same time. And when they all come out of retrograde, there's going to be a passing of Venus between Saturn onto Neptune. Venus is slowly over the next few days. I think she's actually perfectly aligned with Saturn on Inauguration Day. And over the next few days after that, she progresses on through Neptune, and that is the time frame where the Navaratri is about to pop off. So as Venus passes from Saturn to Neptune over here on the East Coast, um, the Navaratri is about to start happening, and the three planets up here are about to cease their retrograde. Um, so also today the moon is in basically oh, that's no. Today, the moon, excuse me, is in Virgo, is basically over Washington D.C. and Virginia. Virginia is Virgo, the Virgin card of Virgo. Um, However, on inauguration day, it will be down here in North and South Carolina. When I get back, I'm going to start with what is up with the adjustment card being changed to number changed to number 8, and the um, lust card being changed to number 11. As the lust card is correspondent to Augusta, Maine, primarily, as well as Cincinnati Tigers, right? But most and foremost, New York. New York. They changed this card to number 11, and 11 looks like two towers to me. So what's up with the switch from this should be number 8, but he switched it to 11, and he switched 11 to 8. What's going on with that? All right, y'all. Big love and respect. Big love and respect. All right, here we go, dissidents. So the first half of this clip was recorded on the 18th. Today is the 19th. I've actually brought the camera in a little closer so you guys can see my spectacular map of the United States. I anticipate many jokes about King Charles' version of Michigan up here. It's not to scale. This map is not to scale. However, this is a very fun way for me to convey the Tarot-tories' vision. And I promised I would talk about the flip-flop of the lust card, and the Rider-Waite was the strength card, and it was number 8. Crowley changed it to 11 and switched the justice card, which was number 11, to number 8 and named it the adjustment card. This was his adjustment on the deck. And a lot of people out there are pretty savvy to the fact that the Versailles tarot deck had this order in its original layout. The Versailles tarot deck had justice as number 8 and strength as number 11. And Rider-Waite, in fact, is the tarot deck that adjusted from the Versailles deck. And so Crowley was actually going to a more Eurocentric arrangement. Now, I want to also, I have to point out that the Leo card corresponds to Maine, to New York, all the way through to Cincinnati. You can kind of see the Leo segment here is all of these northeast states. And I find it quite fascinating that this became card number 11 because 1-1 generates the Twin Towers correspondence. Also, Crowley called himself the Great Beast. So there's a Great Beast, this lion, on the lust card. But fascinating validation takes place when I look at this from its corresponding constellations, as in Libra is the minor deacon of the Lupus constellation. Lupus is the wolf on the spear of Centaurus, and this wolf is being stabbed on a pike. He's being impaled. This Lupus is being impaled on the spear of Centaurus. And so, the word lupus in its Latin derivation actually means whore or prostitute or slut or the whore of the baby lion. And so there is, and of course he changes this card to lust. So there is something fascinatingly valid in seeing both and. And so what I'm going to do, for the sake of this experiment, we're going to collapse the beast and put the lust card in correspondence to the lupus constellation, is the wolf that is in Libra. And so the lust card is now in Libra, correspondent to the slut. Lust is an anagram for slut. Okay? And we're going to put the adjustment card in New York. Number 8 in the sequence. What this fulfills in my vision is the long-standing agenda to establish a one-world court in Kings County, District 9. This has been the plan all along. And what absolutely blows my mind is how many things I know about this card. Let's start with Friedrich Nietzsche's accusation against a certain mentality of writers. Jean-Jacques Rousseau is one of, I believe, 3, maybe 4 different writers that Nietzsche referred to them as moral tarantulas. And that was kind of his stopgap pejorative against anarchism. And Jean-Jacques Rousseau has fulfilled this card quite soundly in so many ways. But Jean-Jacques Rousseau is a founding patriarch of communism. And it's not to put it on Jean-Jacques Rousseau in the raw. I am just saying that Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the Spanish word for Russian, is Rousseau. So Jean-Jacques the Russian is constantly being reinstilled and threatened onto the masses as like a anarchist trigger, and oftentimes intrinsically depicted as red. Communism is always symbolized by what is red. Now, Jean-Jacques Rousseau fulfills this imagery in some of his self-portraiture, but also in his writing. He says that one of his opening lines to one of his most provocative works that Voltaire rallied against, the opening line to his book was, "Man is born free, yet everywhere he is in chains. Those who would enslave others are even further slaves themselves." That's the opening provocation line of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And this card, this character, is in chains. They're even greater slaves themselves. There's so many reasons. Reading Jean-Jacques Rousseau and studying this card, it is just so deeply confirmed to see this as the moral tarantula card. And now what is really wild is, since Nietzsche made that phrase, moral tarantula, as a pejorative stopgap against anarchism, since he put that into the zeitgeist, a certain Nazi agenda has animated into the zeitgeist on top of what Nietzsche started. And that is the Spinne, the spiders, the spy network of the Nazis. And so the moral tarantula that is intrinsic to this card has been taken on, almost encouraged and grown onto a whole nother scale of significance. So Die Spinne is also intrinsic to the moral tarantula. This card has been repackaged into our cartoons 100,000 ways. And the most significant of all of the repackaging of this card is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And, I could go on and on about it, but think of how Ninja Turtles, they wear blindfolds, just like Justice. Justice is blind, but they got they're peeking out. Justice is not blind. These little Ninja Turtles are peeking from underneath their eye coverings, right? The Ninja Turtles, I talked about it in my last video. The programming of Ninja Turtles was uh, unpacked into the LA Fire reporting schema in a most fascinating way. And it was the day after I made my video that they released some news trigger headlines about um, prisoners are the firefighters. The prisoners are the heroes of the LA fires. And sure enough, the Ninja Turtles that are very much like prisoners. They live in obscurity under the city in the sewer system. And the headline even had 4 prisoners, all of them wearing half shells and carrying their different tools over their shoulders, just like Ninja Turtles. So the unpacking of this card it would take me forever to go on and on, but the even more current, see, Ninja Turtles is back in the 90s, and even more recently, they have repackaged this card into the Justice League, and all of Trump's cabinetry is just foolishness unpacked out of pop culture. And so Trump's cabinetry is also the Justice League team that was promulgated onto the masses. So I'm going to leave the adjustment card up here in New York because I happen to know for a fact that the long-term play is going for that One World's Court in New York. I shouldn't say that. I know for a hunch that the long-term agenda is to bring the One World Court into Kings County, New York. That word fact is a dangerous word to make claims at. Okay. I'm going to show some of the progression of the planets that are coming up over the next month. And I just want people to see how these um, um, egregores, these racers, the theos, are moving around the chessboard. I don't even want to use the word chessboard. Let's call it a tracing board. How these theos are moving around on the tracing board. Essentially, let me see. Mars has been in retrograde for quite a while now. Let me see. Yes, it is moving deeper into Cancer slowly. It's actually moving this way in its retrograde. Same thing with Jupiter. It's moving this way in its retrograde. Also, Uranus is slowly going this direction during its retrograde over the next month. And they all come out pretty much within a couple weeks of each other. They all come out of retrograde. So tomorrow, Luna will still be in South Carolina. And on the 21st, it moves almost to Florida, coming right onto Jekyll Island territory. And on the 22nd, it breaks down into fully in Scorpio. So on the 21st, the moon is on Jekyll Island. On Inauguration Day, the moon is on Jekyll Island. And we've moved the Lust card, the Lupus card, into Libra, where the moon will be very soundly crossing past Libra's threshold and into Scorpio from the day of inauguration to the day after. Also, the sun is very slowly creeping its way, and on inauguration day, the sun will be completely what is this? It's not a Cassini, but it's a syzygy. The sun is aligned. It's occulting Pluto. Pluto will be behind the sun on inauguration day. This is the Joe Biden planet. Joe Biden is Pluto. Technically, I'm kind of torn. I really see Trump as very Saturnian. But as well, Venus on inauguration day is beginning her progression from Saturn over to Pluto. If this is chump, I'm sorry, I said Pluto, Neptune. If Saturn is chump, I believe Neptune is Vivaswamy. That's weird. That's super weird. But in the Justice League, Vivaswamy is totally Fishman, Aquaman, which is crazy because Aquaman has a 5-pronged fork, very correspondent to the tuning fork of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. But Vivaswamy is Aquaman holding the 5-pronged fork, but that's actually just symbolically antipodal to what he should be holding is a spoon. You know, Vivaswamy had a heroin addiction for a while. And so it's like his spoon has holes in it and the heroin is just seeping through. So yeah, Vivaswamy and Neptune. That's kind of far out. That's pretty far out. But I'm thinking to myself, does Tulsi Gabbard have to be Venus? Does she have to be Venus? I kind of think she does. She's the only female in the cabinetry. And so there's something going on over the next couple weeks where Tulsi is migrating closer to Vivaswamy, whatever that guy's name is. And old Chumpster is sitting tight right here, very soundly in on Pisces. Let me see. Yep. Saturn is totally in Pisces when this handoff comes on. So Saturn, Venus, and Neptune are all in Pisces. They have been for quite a while. But Venus is the fastest mover of the bunch. So she's kind of passing the relay in the energetic field. Also, on election day, it will be exactly a half moon. That is a fascinating truism. There's a balance in the force, right? As the adjustment is taking place. Now, I actually have it written down. I wrote down the dates of the retrogrades. So, let's see which one comes out first. So, Uranus comes out of retrograde on 1-30. So it's approximately 9 days after the inauguration. Uranus, comes out of retrograde on the 30th to the 31st. Uranus is the first to cease its retrograde, and it will start to go back to the east and start progressing back on these other two retrograding planets, almost like a collision course is taking place. And then it is next, Jupiter ceases its retrograde and begins to catch on to the same momentum and progress to the east on 2-4, February 4th, and that is on the 4th day of Navaratri, I think. No, 6th day. I think that's the 6th day of the Navaratri is when Jupiter comes out of its retrograde. This is correspondent to the same day of Navaratri where Trump got his ear-castrated event that took place. Pretty much the 6th to the 7th day. And then it is quite a few days later, it won't be until the 24th, that Mars comes out of its retrograde and begins to progress to the east. And the moon will have, by that point, gone quite around quite a few times. Let's see. Yeah, the moon moves very rapidly. But I just wanted to put on the map the fact that the moon is moving out of Lupus in the North South Carolina through Georgia and the Jekyll Island, where all the Murex purple dyes are harvested from those very highly sought after seashells, the Murex seashells. And the day after inauguration, it is fully in Florida, in the death card, where the death drive will very likely be engaged. All right. I'm really enjoying this form of slick distant communication. I want to point out the fascinating fact, if the sun is occulting Pluto on Inauguration Day, this is really profound at the location of the sky where it's taking place, because it is in um, um, Aquarius, essentially, that the story of Perseus decapitating Medusa, the cut happens in Aquarius, because that is where the Pegasus constellation begins. It is initiated in Aquarius. And this is the shape of Pegasus, and it comes out of the head of Medusa and almost gets away. But look how blocky Pegasus is. It's actually very well known for its rectangular nature. It has a very pronounced rectangular, almost perfect rectangle to it. And some of its names throughout history has been, the rectangle, the square, you could say. Sometimes this is depicted as an arc in and of itself. But it really just impacts me very uniquely because of the rectangular nature of Pegasus. And look at the rectangular nature of Texas. It has this huge box on the top of it. Very profound. And also in Aquarius, I also equate the Tower card. And I don't think you're going to find that in the books. I don't think anybody's going to tell you to associate the Tower card to Aquarius. This is some things that I've had to intuit years ago. I was intuiting this information that the Tower card belongs in Aquarius. I didn't know why. And I kept finding that whenever the Pegasus symbol was being hailed, all the way down to Barack Obama's name, Barack means lightning bolt. Barack is also the Sauron Brotherhood. The Gurdjieff got the Enneagram. The word Barack is the word they use to describe the force that transcends through all things in the universe. They call it the Barack. Well, Barack Obama is also the horse that Muhammad takes on his pilgrimage to Mecca. But Barack Obama's name really rides on the axial differential between Aquarius and Capricorn, riding up through to the differential between Capricorn and Leo. That is the Barack line. And I've heard that it's called a catgut, 180-degree divide across the zodiac. And I have heard many names that hail to this dividing line, from the Capricorn to Aquarius across to Cancer and Leo. And one more thing I should say about this, seeing this adjustment card as actually justified in Leo has to do with the Great Diamond asterism. And the Great Diamond asterism connects to Spica of Virgo, and two other stars, and then Regis, the Regis star of Leo, is one of the corners of the Great Diamond. And so it actually is very vindicated to put the Great Diamond asterism in correspondence to Leo, because the Leo royal star is one of the corners of the Great Diamond. I wanted to say that too. There's actually perfect logic to putting the adjustment card in the number 8 spot in the sequence of the heavens. And seeing the lust card is down here with the lupus in Libra, because she's a lubricious woman. The lupus is the whore or the slut, and slut is an anagram for lust. All right, I'm going to cut there, and maybe in future videos I'll talk about the retrogrades of these other planets. I actually took note of all the retrogrades coming forward in 2025. So I put little post-it notes on all of these so I can kind of keep track of some of those movements and progressions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's about it for the reevaluating of the Tarot-tories map on the Slick Distant Shared Artistic Expression. Expect more fun to come out of this one. Big love, much wisdom, much reticence, much respect. Oh, hey, slickdissonant.com. PayPal, Cash App, t-shirts, hoodies, tarot cards. Yeah, you know the deal. Peace.